Great things, great things, great things. Welcome in to Words on a Higher Note. Our space to reflect, reset, rise, and remember who we really are beneath the layers. I'm your host, Jalen, and I'm glad you're here. Before we begin, a quick reminder. This isn't therapy or medical advice. It's a moment to pause and reconnect with yourself. If you are ever in need of support, please reach out to someone you trust. This reflection is titled Safe Space Dilemma. Ever have a thought you can't shake? One that starts quiet, then all of a sudden it grabs your whole spirit. Some thoughts don't walk in quietly. They show up, they arrive loud, uninvited, and refuse to be ignored. They won't let you move on until you deal with them. This thought didn't show up while I was reflecting and quiet. It came while I was driving. It seemed as if there was a presence in the car with me, or as if something jumped in front of the car and I had to brake. That was the urgency of having to record it. This wasn't random. It's a thought that's visited me before. It was initially brought to my attention over a year ago in one of the communities I belong to. In a passing conversation, someone shared that they wouldn't feel comfortable inviting a close friend to the group. Not because of any conflict within the group, but because some members are very outspoken, especially about world issues and personal beliefs. That moment stuck with me, and recently it presented itself again. Not just louder in my mind, but heavier in my spirit. With the question, is it even possible to create a safe space for everyone? Is that just a nice idea we toss around, or something that we can actually build? Now let's name what a safe space could mean in practice. A space where being different isn't dangerous. Where a difference in opinion doesn't mean you are exiled. Where honesty and compassion can coexist. Where everyone is expected to try without the pressure of perfection. Where listening is real and not just hearing. Where being held accountable does not translate to humiliation. Where your questions are welcomed, not criticized, dismissed, or you're made to feel wrong. And where fear isn't the loudest voice in the room. Now let's get back to this group. As one of the facilitators of that space, I've thought many times, should I say something? Should I address it? Should I invite a little more awareness into how someone's verbal style might land on others? But then I stop and ask myself, would I be censoring the very vocal members? Or worse, asking them to censor themselves? And that's the quiet crossroads we rarely name. The delicate job of holding space for others while still trying to honor our own space. And it's a tough space to exist in because no matter how well-intentioned I may be, I know that the tone and the timing plays a large role in the outcome. I've also had to consider how much of this is in me too. Over the years, I've learned not to say everything that comes to mind. This has been a challenge for me because my DNA screams, say it. My father said it. My mother says it. I was raised in an era where saying what you thought wasn't considered offensive. It was called being honest. And we had that phrase growing up. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And we said it like a shield, a chant, a quick fix defense in a world where being teased, called out, or labeled could happen at any moment. It was a defense mechanism, not because words didn't hurt, but because we were taught to pretend they didn't. That phrase alone is a lesson. We were taught to swallow the sting, to stay strong, to push through. Thankfully, I have lived long enough to know that that phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is 1000% incorrect. Words can and do hurt, sometimes more than the sticks and the stones, which may leave physical scars. But words can leave mental and emotional scars when they embed themselves deep in your sense of self. They echo again and again and again and shape how we see and interact with the world and ourselves. So yes, I understand the instinct to speak. My upbringing was to speak my mind. But I also understand now that the weight of my words, our words, can outlive the moment. As Joycelyn Elders said, we all have got to come to grips with our isms. And today, we're here to name the biases or the isms. We have racism, sexism, ageism, classism, ableism, fat phobia, transphobia, microaggressions, privilege, ignorance, and this does not exhaust the list at all. Some people are still entangled in these mindsets. Others are trying to climb out, aware of the biases, the struggles, and the weight these biases carry, but are committed to growing and evolving. And then there are those who are walking that middle ground, who can see the shadows of these biases clearly, yet they do not define us. And we're here to grow, evolve, and keep moving forward. But here's the next question that came up for me today. Why do I have to be bias-free? Is it to be heard? Is it to be trusted? But let's be honest. Many of us didn't sign up for bias. We inherited it. We absorbed it. We heard it preached, quoted, and passed around like truth. Now, some of us are unlearning. We're trying, turning the volume down on what was planted without permission. So maybe it's not about being bias-free. Maybe it's about being bias-aware. And that has to mean something. Because when you grow up in the world we've grown up in, with all its divides, assumptions, codes, and norms, it feels nearly impossible to come out without some imprint, without residue, without being unchanged. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I'm alone in that. Most of us were shaped by something. Our families, communities, the media, school, and plain old survival. And bias isn't always loud and cruel. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's not cruel at all. Just ingrained, passed down, not questioned, assumed, unspoken, but it's there. And the moment we think we're free from it, that might be the moment we stop growing. So maybe it's not about being bias-free. Maybe it's about being bias-aware. Being willing to name it, willing to confront it, willing to let it evolve. And it's not just about the right words. It's about navigating real-time emotion, history, and the harm, while also wanting to honor everyone's voice, including your own. And holding all of that, that's a heavy load. And most days we're doing it silently, checking, measuring, adjusting, not because we're trying to be fake, but because we're trying to be kind. Because let's be honest, we've all been there. Maybe you have sat in a room where everyone else seemed comfortable, but something in your chest felt tight. Maybe you've held your tongue, telling yourself it was for peace, but deep down knowing you just didn't feel safe to speak your truth. And maybe you're still trying to figure out what a truly safe space would actually look like, not just in theory, but in real life. And here's the what if. What if safety doesn't mean never being challenged, but it means never being discarded? What if we allowed space for people to grow out loud without public penalty every time? What if we were more curious than we were corrective? Because maybe a truly safe space isn't built by agreement, but is built by alignment, where the foundation is grace, where the difference doesn't mean distance, where we all get to show up, rough edges and all, no mask on, with the hope of becoming better, not bitter. Before we close, I invite you to take this moment further. If something awakened in you, a thought, a feeling, a moment of clarity, share this reflection with others. Thank you for tuning in to Words on a Higher Note, where reflection meets elevation, where grace meets growth, where personal evolution is not rushed, but embraced, honored, and celebrated. Until next time, keep listening for the higher note. Say, be, and it is.